I've been here for 5 years and I've owned 5 businesses in 5 years. And I started giving back to the community. So I started asking myself, what should I do? I started browsing ideas. Then I'm like, podcast. I'll start a podcast. I won't be able to teach the audience because I'm not expert, not qualified to help anyone. But what I can do is ask bold questions to qualified people. And I'm going to ask, how did you make your first million? Because this is credibility. The purpose of this podcast was from the beginning is giving value and giving back. Because I felt like I owe this community.
Let's learn some real estate.
Finance or real estate? Where are we going? Because I definitely have some basic principles when it comes to finance that I am a bit of a stickler on. So start this conversation however you want.
I prepared some questions.
No? Okay.
I feel free not to answer.
Feel free not to answer.
Okay? All right. Le première ou la première?
I don't know. It depends what you say afterwards.
First question.
La première question.
La première question. Why? Question is a woman?
That's a great question. But you know what? In Arabic, it's the same.
Yeah, it's you guys, everything complicated. So it's la première question. But question is not a female.
Well, it is in this case.
Okay. I love this.
You're terrible at budget.
When I was, financially unstable and I was starting up,
Yeah.
I was perfect. It's very good at it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I had a budget of like I can spend $100 on groceries every week.
Yeah.
I would never pass it. My brother and I, we almost punched each other at Food Basic many times because he wanted to buy some meat that I didn't want to buy because I don't want to cross the budget.
Yeah.
I can buy coffee only on weekends because I do double shifts with Uber.
Yeah.
The rest of the week I make my own.
Yeah.
And wine only if I make good tips that month. So I can drink once a month.
Okay.
Now, I smoke a cigar or two a day. I drink a bottle of wine. I don't care. I don't look at the fucking bill. Well, I'm happy that I worked really hard that I don't need to look at the bill anymore and enjoy life. But a little bit budgeting wouldn't hurt. So what's your formula?
So I come back to the story that I told a bit at the beginning about the ratios. And that's something that I think is a good basis because no matter how much money you're making, you can come back and say, okay, well, what are the healthy ratios that I should be within the parameter of for XYZ? And what does that number look like? What does that translate to? And then does that align with my goals? So what I love about what you just shared is you put rules in place for yourself at a time where you needed to make the most out of every dollar. And you made those rules to fit your personality, your goals, your lifestyle. Budgets often don't, but budgets are often a very emotional thing for people. It truly becomes, a lot of people will like procrastinate, stay away from it, scared of it. And it all comes down to making this tool, it's just a tool, work for you. So it needs to suit your personality, your goals, your lifestyle, and it needs to live and breathe with you. So that's something that's really important. And that, again, why I love the ratios. So an example of a ratio that is pretty basic is when it comes to household expenses. So what I'm paying for a lease or mortgage, including insurance, electricity, would be 25 to 35% of my net income.
Okay.
Not my gross, my net
income.
So after taxes, what's in my pocket? What's in my pocket after the paycheck's done?
25 to 30%.
25 to 35. Yeah. So I come back to that house that I purchased, that bankrupt house at the very beginning, my first purchase. I calculated at 25%. Now, the banks would have given much more, and the banks calculated on the gross. So had I gone with what I could have purchased, I would have been really not able to buy myself a bottle of wine.
I don't want to go off topic here,
Yep.
but how many average employee can buy a house if they want to pay 25 to 35% of their salaries?
That's a great question, and that's a great observation. And anybody that wants to say that to me, I'm going to say, okay, that's a limiting belief. You're not thinking creatively because there's so many ways, especially in Canada, where you can access home ownership and be making money while doing it.
Okay. Let's not go off topic. That's gonna be my next question.
D'accord.
Yeah. So this is good. Let's come back to this after you finish the tips for budgeting.
So, I mean, you want to be thinking of what you want to put away for savings.
Do I have to save?
Do you have to save? I mean, hey, I'll ask you the question. Does life not ever surprise you?
Is it always surprise?
And do those surprises cost $0? Is it often like, hey, here's a bonus, $5K?
I have too many surprises every day because I'm investing in too many things every day. But let's say I'm an employee, what would it be a surprise for me? Broken
tire.
fridge.
Broken fridge,
Okay.
hailstorm, window broke, God knows.
Insurance. You got insurance for that?
You have insurance, but great. Did you forget that you have a franchise to pay for your insurance? Insurance is rarely going to be like, oh, here's the money. They're going to say, okay.
It's for saving from your salary.
So are we talking about the emergency fund or how much I want to save off my salary?
Saving.
Saving?
You mentioned the word saving.
Yeah. I'd say that a good number for savings, and this is like all savings included, you want to be saving between 10 and 20%.
10 to what? Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And there's some people...
And you just want them to take risks and they're saving 20% of their salaries? That doesn't make sense to me. Okay. That's I guess a formula. Okay. If they're saving 20% of their salaries,
Yes.
and they're like, I'm saving this for emergencies in case I get there's a storm that comes to my house, how they could be mentally strong enough to actually put risks, invest the thing they have in their dreams.
So it's kind of like where you're filling the boxes, right?
Mm.
So you mentioned emergency fund. You asked me savings, but you're mentioning emergency fund.
Yeah, but you
right?
said you save, and I told you, why do I need to save? You said because there's emergencies.
Good point. But you could also be saving for the trip you want. You could also be saving for the down payment for a business you want to.
So saving could be could go toward lifestyle too.
Lifestyle.
I like
investment.
Cigar.
Right
out with the boys.
Exactly.
Don't spend it on the girlfriend though.
But you could also work that into your lifestyle budget, like what you want for leisure. You should have a bucket for leisure. Like, what do I want to spend on lifestyle?
So saving is different than emergency fund. Let's keep
saving can be one of the compartments in your savings can be your emergency fund.
Okay.
But your emergency fund should be a bucket that gets to an amount.
Okay. So far 50% goes toward your home expense, like mortgage or rent.
50 or 35 max.
No.
Oh.
I didn't finish my set.
Oh, sorry.
So the 50% is saving plus the home expenses.
Oh, okay.
Because it's 25 to 35 plus 10 to 20. So the maximum you put average is about 45 to 50%. Okay. What's the other 55 or 50% goes?
So, I mean, all the things that come to life. You have your medical expenses, even if you're Canada. I mean...
Yeah, you need to buy medications.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, I'm Canadian, but a lot of the medical procedures I've gone through is private. So even if I'm in Canada, it's things that I wouldn't have had access to in the public system.
Yeah, because you need it done fast.
Or it doesn't exist in the public sector. It's not treatments that you can go through in the public sector.
Makes sense.
So yeah, basic healthcare is taken care of, but if you need something extra or you need something different, it's not covered. You need to be able to think about those. And especially where things are going with healthcare and say, Matt, what did you say earlier? Say nobody saves, nobody puts money away, everybody risks it all. How long do you think the Canadian government can keep that up? We're already running a deficit, right?
Well, here's what's going to happen. Some portion of these people with the risks, they will make a lot of money and the government is going to take their taxes.
Or they move away. And they're like, I'm going to change.
What percentage of people that moves away? It's very low. That when they take this risk, that's what's going to happen. They will create jobs opportunities. They will help the government pretty much.
Yeah.
And big portion of the people who will take risks will actually succeed, especially with what the government does for them. Like, honestly, not like vouching for a government, but there's a lot of programs to help Canadian businesses. And I know the difference just because I came from somewhere else.
Yes.
People here, I hear that, well, the government do nothing for us. I'm like, I've never heard of the word fucking rent in Lebanon. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. Like, You can literally hire 7 students. The government is going to pay them so they can work for you.
Yep.
So the government does help business owners here. We just have to learn and educate ourselves in the negative.
Yes. And I would go the step further of that's a great thing and it's a great plus. But I think that you need to, like, money gives you options, right? And you want to be giving yourself as many choices and freedoms as you can. So when you can benefit from those things, awesome, especially when you're getting started. But I wouldn't count on that to live my life.
Correct.
So that's why savings, retirement, emergency fund, those are all really important things.
Okay.
So we talked about the buckets. Something like the emergency fund is a bucket that you're going to fill. And once it's full, you're not going to keep putting money into it. So a basic rule is 3 months of expenses. That's like the minimum. 3 to 6 months covering your expenses.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to.
It's reasonable.
Yeah. And it can still, like, if you have, I don't know, 4K of expenses a month or 5, let's do an easy number. Well, 15,000, something ready to use, ready to go at all times.
That is not saving, that's emergency fund.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the saving could be considered for the emergency fund though.
Yes.
Some of it, not all of it. If you still want to go on a vacation week.
Yes.
Okay. What's the percentage you would put aside for, for example, like necessities? Food, gas, car insurance, home insurance, barbershop, or like, nails. Well, you
Nail, but oh my God.
Oh, women, please, that's a necessity.
Is that a necessity?
It is. Well, they're clean. They look okay. Not excellent, but they look okay.
I do them myself. I think the necessities changed.
Waxing, that is a fucking necessity.
I mean, if you're French, you can go.
No. Don't be a hippie. Oh, don't come toward me when we're a hippie.
But I mean, that's a funny in the sense that you get to know people's values and what they're going to budget for. Obviously, you need to slice the rest of that pie. The household budget is one of the biggest ones. Car, 15% around there is something they talk about, but 15% nowadays, it's a really tight budget on the car. But that being said, a car is far from an asset. It's something that you buy and it's losing value. So often we need it, but it's something that costs a lot of money.
That's why you drive an EV?
That is one of the reasons I just switched for an EV. Yep.
Yes.
Yep, the engine on my Prius blew. I wanted my next car to be paid cash, but I was not planning to lose my car 3 years early. So my engine blew, 3-4 weeks ago? My calculation was what I paid in gas is about what I'm going to be paying for the payments on the new car. And that was how I made it work in my mind.
Everything is a formula with you.
Yes, very much so. I have that analytical.
I would be way richer if I spend my money like this. It's crazy. I like this car. I'll get it.
I mean, don't. I test drive the Mustang Mach-E. It was very hard to walk away. But
You walked away?
I did. It was a lot of fun to test drive on the highway, though.
So saving goes toward retirement too, or that's a different budget?
No, savings, you would have a bucket for retirement.
Okay.
And retirement, basic rules would be 10% of your gross, not your net, your gross. So it's a pretty significant number. And then obviously the earlier you start, the better. What do they say? Compound interest is the 7th wonder of the world, or the 8th wonder of the world.
How many years do you need to see to get it to retire? We're average salary, we like 70K, let's see.
That one really sucks because,
That's why I'm asking you.
yeah, it sucks because if you start in your 20, you could even stop and you'd have the right amount. Whereas if you're starting later on in life, you need to put a much higher amount into some sort of investment vehicle that's bringing you back, hopefully at least a 5% annual return, at least. And you're going to be putting in a lot more capital than you would have needed to if you'd started when you're 20. But often people are not thinking about this when they're 20.
I go to resorts sometimes. I meet older people.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to them. What are you doing? What are you hoping to get out of there? Don't arrest you. Finally, Kaya, then we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, fuck that. I want to do this one. I have a very
Then just ask.
controversial saying. I'm like, I don't want to buy a Ferrari when I can get a boner.
What?
I don't want to be.
Where's the connection?
Here's the connection. People drives the least sexy car so they can save money for their retirement until they retire, they're 60 or whatever, and now they buy a Mustang or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get to fucking enjoy it because you can't pick up chicks. Get the links now.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be that complicated.
I mean,
So-
sorry. You know what's going through my
What's the
brain?
fucking point of driving a Mustang if I can? Or a Ferrari?
What's going through my brain is in French, in Quebecois, we have this saying, grosse corvette, petite caquette,
I didn't understand.
big Corvette.
Yeah. Small day.
Yeah.
Ah,
Grosse corvette, petite caquette. So it's like a compensation. So my brain was just there. Sorry.
No, shucks.
Sorry.
Okay, so this saying is only North American. You know why? Because North America is mostly liberals.
Okay.
They look at people with money as they're trying to fill some insecurity they have.
That's a great limiting belief that we did address, and that's such a nasty one.
So
100%.
I'm not talking politics, okay? And I'm not a big fan of any party. Not a big fan of any party. I don't want anyone to be confused. I might be a fan of one of them.
But you got to vote.
I'm not a big... Yeah, I did vote. Okay? But I've only heard of this stuff bashing people with nice cars.
Oh, yeah.
They always bash people with... I get it if you have
Worse
like
in
a
the
muffler and you're trying to be very noisy and you think that's sexy, you might, be one of the people that comes in 3 seconds. But people bash people with money here like there's no yesterday. In Lebanon, that's how they bash them. They say they made money from drugs, selling drugs. That's it. They don't call them small wieners, or they don't call them like... Literally, there's so many names for people here who have nice cars.
Yeah.
And that's... Or like a big truck.
Yeah.
One time, a girl told me, like, she was like 50 and she was one of my friends, and she's like, JC, I fucked that guy and I really had low standards. I'm like, why? She's like, he had little stroke, elevated, blah, blah, blah. And she said it was great. And I'm like, I was stupid my whole life. Maybe I missed on some opportunities. It's crazy. Yeah. Now, emergency funds. I need to touch.
But I think you're going into like lifestyle, right? Of like not saving it all for later,
I want to
living now as well.
Personally,
right?
my goal, I want to live in my dream house, drive my dream car while I'm young and single.
Yeah.
Young and single. And then I want to settle down. And then I want to, live for someone else, which is my wife and my children. Because once I get married, I add responsibilities to my life as a man. Right? So I don't live for me anymore. I live for me and them.
Yeah.
Correct? And then half of my money is going to be there.
Yeah.
Even more because there's children. So I don't want to wait. I don't want to save 10% so I can, hopefully, if the economy is well and the banks doesn't steal my money, I can buy certain cars. I want to do it now, even for a fucking year. Even if I lose money, I lose all of my savings. I have done it at this age. That's what I want to say.
So all I said earlier are tools, right?
Yeah.
They're tools to get your brain thinking as to how I can get this, how I can achieve this, how I can make my dream happen. I've met people who were on minimum wage and had like $50K sitting in their check-ins.
Yes.
And I asked them, like, what are you doing? Like, you're working at the grocery store. Tell me your secret. She didn't live
Yeah, they
didn't
live
do
on coupons.
anything.
I know.
That's not a life to me. And there's people that die with all that money in the bank account and have saved it their whole lives. And often these are things that are based in fear. Often these are limiting beliefs. Often these are... So that's not... What I hope people take away is not, oh, I gotta stick to the little category Monica told me about. No.
Wow.
Do you know how many times I've said, okay, I want this thing. I can have like 5% here. I can take 5% from this one. I'll live without this one. I'll take another 5% edge off of this. And okay, that brings that to 30. Okay, if that's at 30% and I'm able to put this much there a month, that means in 2 years I can get this thing. Or maybe I can get this thing right now. Or, okay, I'm going to rent out this room for this much, put this here, and go that way. Or maybe I'm going to do Uber on the side. Or maybe I'm going to figure out something else.
Yeah, how about
But-
we actually work a little bit harder, more than 8 hours a day? Because this is natural there.
Oh, I mean, When I was a kid, I literally had thought, like, I don't want to retire. I don't want this principle of retirement. Maybe I'll have mini retirements during my lifetime.
I want to retire.
Take, I don't.
I want to work 4 hours a day at some point, and that's it.
That's
not more than here.
You're working.
Well, is working 4 hours a day something that I love?
But you're saying
It's becoming a hobby, but I'm working 4 hours a day and I don't really need to work, right? That's what I want to do. Actually, before I get married, I want to be able to say or know, like, financially, I can actually work only for 5 hours a day. That's all my because I already, that's one of my goals. But
That's hilarious.
I guess we have different opinions about, retirement. I understand why.
But everybody should have their different opinions on retirement. The thing is I think there's a third of Canadians that have zero retirement. Do you know how much the government gives you when you're retired?
No.
It's like $15K.
And that's lasts how long?
That's $15K a year.
That lasts.
Until you die. But I mean,
like how much is your personal expenses a month?
definitely, I wouldn't be able to live off $15K. Like, where am I living? What am I doing? Like, you're literally, what's my retirement going to be? I'm going to be in my little rocking chair in front of the TV, and it's not going to be a subscription.
They programmed this for us. Work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, save your money, go on one trip a year, and you will retire by 6 to 3. And then you can actually probably travel with all the health issues that we have, or buy a convertible.
I hate that.
Buy a convertible. So here's what I would fucking do. As long as I'm single, and stay single as long as you can. You don't have kids. And you don't have kids. Fucking do 2 jobs. So instead of retiring at 63, you retire at 31.5. Just double the amount of fucking work, and then you'll get it done. Right? Like, I see people like they don't go to the gym because they're so tired. They don't have time. And I ask them, what do you do? They're employees. They work 8 hours a day. They clock out exactly after 8 hours on the dot. They still can't go to the gym because they're too busy and too tired.
Mm-hmm. But that would be a mindset. I would argue that maybe that person doesn't like what they're doing. Maybe that person is...
Leave!
I agree with you. But what's holding them back? Like, I'm able to have those conversations.
I can't live without a saving because I need to keep this job that I hate. Because
I bet they don't even have a savings. I bet those people, most often than not, don't even have a savings.
Okay, you mentioned when we were discussing real estate and homes, you said this is a very limited beliefs, thinking that you can't buy a house if you're on a lower salary. And she actually gave me a tip last week. Down payments.
Yeah.
You don't actually need to have the cash to put it as down payment on a house, because there's many ways where you can buy properties in Canada without having the down payment. And now Monica is going to give you a couple of... How many are you going to share today?
Just one, but it's the juiciest one.
But there's like 6.
There's many different ways you can do it.
So listen to the one today, but you gotta follow her on Instagram because she's going to post the rest later. But really good tips. You're waiting until like what? You're 50, or you're marrying the wrong person so you can have double salaries to buy a house so you can save and have a down payment. This is a mistake I see all the time. Well, there is other
one.
That's what happens. People get into relationships so they can build a future, because on your own you can build it. These days, salaries are not enough.
I disagree, but I can see where people get caught up with that.
I see it happening. I see it happening.
That's sad.
Yeah, they get married so they can be financially a bit more stable because there's 2 salaries in the house. They're sharing rooms. I know a guy, and they were engaged and they broke up because he's like, come move in with me, and then asking her for rent. And they're like, yeah, when we buy a house.
Was not okay.
And he wasn't able to buy
not okay.
That's a big controversial part. We're doing an educational podcast, not a how to be a man podcast. Yeah, that's your girlfriend. She's moving in with you. Don't charge her.
If she can't contribute,
she doesn't have to.
She doesn't have to.
Yeah, she doesn't have to. He was like telling her you have to pay, and that's fair. He wasn't giving her the option, if you want, you can pay. Well, she offered, and he said yes. You shouldn't ask for it. That's a real man thing, but that's a bigger podcast, and I understand.
I'm going to disagree with you.
I understand.
But
I hear you.
I think that's something that everyone can choose for themselves, and everyone can choose with their partner. So,
Of course, I'm not saying my way or the highway.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I wouldn't want a man to think that he's not man enough if he needs
I bet
contribution.
he,
You would like cut him off.
he's not man enough if he really needs his girlfriend to help him pay the fucking rent. I'm telling you, 100% that guy was 40% happy in this relationship because someone one day is going to split the fucking rent with him. So I've seen them everywhere. Anyways,
Yeah.
how to buy a house without using a down payment from your cash, or maybe you don't have the cash, but you still want to buy a house because you don't want to keep on paying rent forever, and you need to source down payments. Hit me.
Yeah. One that is not well known and is tricky in you need the right timing, you need the right information, you need the right professionals in there helping you. But often I see a lot of the professionals don't necessarily have the knowledge either. In Canada, we have registered, oh my God, I'm going to say the word in French. On a des régimes enregistrés. We have registered
Yeah.
registered savings vehicles. So RSPs would be one of them. TFSAs is another. RESPs is another. So those are like the three major ones. They added on what they're calling you'll say it. It's in French, it's CELIAP. But basically, each of these vehicles have their own little thing that you can do with them if you know them well. And it basically are incentives from the government. So if we take the RSPs that have started to get a bad rep, but they still do interesting things, and you have the right timing. So you can actually borrow to put money into your RSP.
What would they require you to have or own to be able to borrow this money?
You don't, because it's money that you're putting into your RSPs and is basically going to be saved. So say I'm borrowing 45K to put 45K in RSP.
They won't ask for a guarantor. Well, or
the money's there.
What if I don't? Okay.
You know, it's the sick.
They still accept the sick. They might just
money. Yeah, the bank's saying, "Well, I gave you the loan, but I know where the money is."
How would they qualify you for like a certain amount of loans? Like, what if I ask for $2 million? Would they give it to me?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about RSPs, first of all, you need the room to be able to contribute that much to your RSPs.
All right.
That would be surprising because it's a certain amount off of what you make every year, minus if you have a pension, and then everybody's capped off. So even if you make $1 million a year, there's a cap off every year at how much is added to your contributions.
Okay.
So moving along with the strategy, say you borrow to put into your RSPs between the 1st of January and the deadline to put into your RSPs, so that first 60 days of the year. You're hitting, 28th of February, 29th, depending on when it is.
30th.
Is there 30th of February? Are you sure? But basically, in that little sweet spot, your RSP contribution could be applied to the year that you're in, so 2025, or it could be contributed to 2024. What you're going to do is you're going to say, this is for 2024. And you're going to get your taxes done. And when you do your taxes, the magic of the RSP is deferred taxation. So whatever you're putting in, you're deducing your revenue and how much you're being taxed on. So this will give you a nice big chunk of money that you can then use as a down payment for your first home. And there's, again, some timing to this.
Is this illegal?
It feels like it is.
It feels like it
It
is.
honestly feels like it is, because you're basically getting money, and a significant amount.
They don't get pissed off that you use this money to buy a house.
Nope.
It feels so spicy. I'm getting a little turned on.
But you got to remember, when you buy your house, you're reimbursing your RSP loan. Because if not, you're losing the advantage of what you just did, right? You don't want to get stuck paying that loan.
But you don't have to pay for the next 5 years, right?
Yes. So that is and that's something they recently changed. You have 5 years grace period from the moment on. That is a huge grace period.
5 years.
5 years that you're not paying anything. And then you have 15 years to put that money back in. and you're paying 1/15. So it's a crazy advantage.
This is crazy. This is crazy. That's an awesome tip. I actually want to learn a lot more tips from you in the future. You're actually mentoring me right now. I'm not joking regarding this tape, and learning. I can show you our texts at 5 minutes voice messages. I'm right.
Yeah, I wish I would have known that that wasn't the.
I have to put it on times 2,
Oh yeah,
and then she throws some French in there, and I have to. I speak some French, but not the ones. Anyways, really thank you for your time for this podcast. I feel like I want to do another podcast actually because we can learn so much more information, tips, and real estate tips from you. So I do want to have you on this podcast again, hopefully when you're available again soon. But if you were to leave the audience with one advice, well, what would it be?
to have the heart to search for what is in your mind, to not stay stuck with whatever it is. If it's a dream, if it's seek out the person who can help you on your next step in the journey.
I'll leave that. Yeah. Thank you. Do you have any question, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
Any questions that I want to ask?
Well, you get one question.
I feel like they go along the lines of getting into the debate about your man enough situation.
One question, anything.
One question.
But don't ask how old are you.
No, I won't ask that. That one's off limits. We all know that you're, why is it so important for you that you feel the need to kind of live now and do the family thing later versus and you feel the need to have that all set up in a certain way that you can't live the journey and grow with someone during that?
The building phase is very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to stress. That's the most polite way I can answer.
Okay.
Another way, if she builds with me,
Yeah.
she'll have the same.
She'll have a staying?
The same. She wants to become 50% leader.
Oh, okay.
For me, that doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you the plan. And, you can give her feedback at the end after you deliver. I would live a more peaceful way this way. Again, if I want to make it nicer, I'm a leader, practically.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no 2 CEOs in one household or one company. One CEO as CFO. So I believe there could be one CEO of the house. If we're both building, we will both want to be CEOs and sitting down and making decisions together. And this doesn't work really.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, but there is rewards that comes with that.
There.
Peace of mind. She doesn't have to be stressed.
Stress is such a lovely thing.
No, I'll stress her with other stuff.
Go.
But I don't want my woman to be financially stressed or worried about a business. If you got children to raise and take care and to love and herself to take care of and to stay pretty and, wax.
Pay for laser, man. You've got all that money. Pay for laser.
Listen, I'll pay for the laser. That's okay. But laser is not permanent too. So you still have to, do some stuff. So for me, the definition of now is protection, and providing. And I don't want to share this with her. I just want to be a fucking man enough, own up to it, and be the only protector and be the only provider. Right? So I just want to stand up to what actually man is.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I've seen it. I done this is expensive.
Yeah.
I know so many of my friends are single mothers. So many of my friends are, working mothers. I respect them so much because what they're doing is extremely, extremely hard.
Yeah.
And they fucking tell me if I would do it the other way, I would marry someone who has a shit together. Because it's extremely hard. And I see them like fucking tired, trying to do it all on their own or trying to build. I believe, and I'm not saying if you're not built and ready, women are multipliers. So if you feel like you need, this backbone, you come back home and someone to nurture you and it's not your mother to actually grow, do it. But for me, I need my pace. I need my peace. I can't build when I'm coming home and there's someone's gonna interrogate me or ask me something really questions.
I think it's changed. This is like off topic, personal observation. I find women have, found more freedoms in the last, say, I don't know, couple hundred years, especially the last 100.
Yeah.
And
Much more freedom, I guess.
well, no, I'd go the other way around. Like they found some freedoms, but it's like men need to kind of step into their power more.
Oh, that's
well.
all I'm saying. Don't ask your girlfriend for fucking rent. That's all I'm saying.
Different ways of stepping in their power, but that is one of them.
What do you mean
definitely-
by stepping into your power?
I think it means different things for different people.
Work harder. You work 8 hours, you come back and chill with your girlfriend starting 6 p.m. till 10, 11 p.m. till you sleep. You'll definitely fight. You have
I
too
wouldn't
much
be able to
time
live
to
that
talk.
life.
She won't be as excited to see you if you don't smell like shit when you come home. Period. I had only one girlfriend. And my brother knows, like, when I work, we just opened our business. I'm not gonna say names now because I don't advertise for it. And we would work 12 hours a day. And she would ask me to come over after work because she knows if I don't come over after work, I will never be seeing her. Right. So, and my, like when you work for 12 hours, your feet will smell, you smell. So one day that we were having coffee in our place and my brother asked her, he's like, how is his feet smelling these days? Because we used to live together. He used to get bothered from it. She's like, I would wash it myself. Or like she said something very nice. And that's a sign of a hardworking man, not coming back home smelling like fucking soap after 8 hours of work a day and complaining that you're poor or complaining that you can't spoil your wife or you're charging her rent. Like, come on. Anyways, that's it for today. I need to hit my third workout before I kill someone. That was lovely.
Thanks, Joe.